Hey, it's Jess. Jess Espinferger. That's right. Adjust your whatever device you're listening to this on. Get a snack, a cup of tea, and settle in. Because I'm about to tell you why this election is so important. We are all at threat at this next election. However, it seems the young, the elderly, the working class, the disabled, and the foreign are those most at risk. These are some of the most vulnerable people within our society, and these are the people who have already been hit worse by these welfare cuts to disability benefits, housing benefits, the bedroom tax, and all of this is set to worsen if we stick with this current government, the Conservative government. We're currently in a housing crisis. Rates of homelessness are at a ridiculous high. Gentrification is becoming more and more of an issue. Private renting is just inaccessible. Social housing even less so. Homeless shelters are being shut. Women's refuges are being shut. Poverty is on the rise. 63% of children in the UK are currently living in poverty. The UK recently dropped to 156th in the global children rights rankings. These children are our future and we can't allow our government to destroy theirs. Our human rights are at risk. Our NHS is being destroyed, our education system cut away at. To the point where it means those privately educated are at far more of an advantage now than ever before. Our government have let the most wealthy in our society get away with tax evasion, while the rest of us struggle to afford the basic cost of living. People working what used to be considered maybe middle class jobs are having to visit food banks. People that our society rely on, nurses, doctors, police. But now we have been introduced to a politician that is an exception from our previous perception of the political elite. That was the notion, maybe, that politicians are greedy, unrelatable, out of touch, dishonest. We now have someone who is different, someone compassionate, someone that is down to earth and relatable, who fosters an agenda of equality. Someone that doesn't alienate pockets of society, whether that's a class, religion or race. We've been brainwashed by our media and by our Tory government into believing that immigration and the working class are to blame for the faults in the NHS, education system or lack of housing. They've been penalised and scapegoated. Similarly, the man who stands up to this, Jeremy Corbyn, has been ostracised by the media and current government to make us believe that he is weak, idealistic, and not a suitable candidate for our Prime Minister. So sit back, relax, and listen to me tell you 13 reasons why you need to register to vote. Our vote does count. It counts now more than ever before. We have the chance to determine how our country is run. If you don't register to vote and you don't vote, you're taking away your voice. We've all got a voice and we all deserve to be heard. So use it. If everyone said, oh, my vote didn't count and no one voted then, nothing would be done. But if we all use our vote sensibly, smartly, then we can make a change. My number 2. We are very privileged in this country to have the right to vote, especially women. People died for us to vote. Yes, they died. Don't let that be in vain. And I don't want to hear none of you say, oh, well, no one told them to jump in front of a horse. I never told them to do that. Shut up. Seriously, shut up. Don't let their deaths be in vain. It is such a privilege. Use it. We are in a country where we are very privileged to have a free healthcare system. It's one of the best healthcare systems in the world, despite what you think. It's a symbol of equality. It's available to all, regardless of your financial status, regardless of your class, where you're from. We've all got access to free healthcare, and that is a wonderful, amazing thing, and it's currently under threat through Tory cuts, okay? Through privatisation. Our NHS is being sold off, and this is going to continue to happen unless we do something about it. Okay, I mean, we're all going to be like Walter White soon if we don't do something about it. We're going to be cooking up meth because we can't afford to pay our medical bills, or worse, cooking up meth to pay our medical bills. And then a family member gets ill, one that works in the public service, but because the public sector, you know, has been cut so bad, their pay's been frozen so bad, they can't afford to pay for their healthcare, so your hard-earned drug money is going to have to go on them. No, I'm only joking. I don't advise anyone to cook up meth or any form of drugs or sell drugs, but you get the point. You don't want your healthcare to be under threat. You don't want that to be taken from us. Those university debts, yeah, we've heard a lot about those in the last few years, haven't we? They were increased from £3,000, which was a fair bit anyway, to £9,000. Yeah, I went to uni when they hit the £9,000 mark. So you can imagine the debt that we're in. It's not great. And what it's doing is it's deterring people from going to university. So people from lower income families are deciding that they don't want to go because they don't want those debts, or they realise that they're not going to be able to afford it because their parents simply can't help them. The grants have been cut, which is making it even harder for people from lower income families. So all it's doing is it's decreasing social mobility. What this is, it's an attack on the lower middle class, working class, poorer people in our society, and that's wrong. What it means is, it means the people that are from middle class, upper class backgrounds are going to be the better educated, and the ones that are going into higher paid, more skilled roles, and the other people are going to be pushed into lower paid, lower skilled roles that mean that their class mobility doesn't change. They're going to get stuck in one position, and they're unable to move up. It's absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. It works better for the whole country to have a better educated and a better educated society. It decreases poverty. It boosts economic growth. If we've got better workers, people that are higher skilled in higher level jobs, it means that more money is going to be generated and therefore put back into the community, which is going to benefit the whole country. So it just works better overall. These increase in debts are just, they're absolutely ridiculous. And the worst thing is we thought we were getting ourselves into this amount of debt, which was bad enough already, but there's been inflation on our debt, so they're increasing the interest rates that we pay back now. Maybe it was my own fault for not doing enough research, but I feel like I was very misled because I had no idea they could do that. And imagine how much worse it's going to get. Not only are they looking to increase our interest rates, but they're looking to increase the overall fee to go to university. So can you imagine what lower generations, the kind of debt that they're going to come out with? If we don't have people that are well educated, where are we going to get our doctors, our lawyers, our teachers, the people that help society? They help us. They go into those public sector roles that we couldn't live without. Education. Now, by education, I mean primary and secondary. So the very basic level of education that we all in this country have access to. We pay our taxes into this system. We expect to get a good education system out of it. Personally, I was really happy with my state education. I loved I mean, I didn't love every day going into school, but when I look back at it, they were the best days of my life, and I really believe they've made me a rich, cultured, understanding, compassionate person. And I put a lot of that down to the education that I had. Of course, there are going to be faults in the system. There are faults in every system. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. But these faults are going to increase and increase and increase if we continue to see cuts in our education system. Teachers, teaching assistants, resources, learning support for people with disabilities. It's becoming more and more impossible to provide an adequate education to young people. And the same way that it's important to have educated people at degree level, it's even more important to have them at basic reading, writing, maths. These are the very basics that people need in order to go out into the workplace, in order to develop skills, in order to function and get by in daily life. Vocational courses are being taken away. What this means is education is no longer accessible in the sense that all learning needs are no longer catered to. We've all got a different learning need. We don't all learn the same way. And I think it's really important to cater to those, because what it does is, by not catering into it, young people become disengaged with education. They don't want to learn, and they don't develop the necessary skills to go out into the workforce. You know, we don't all need everyone to be mathematicians and bankers and scientists. We need to develop those vocational skills, whether it be hairdressing, cooking, building. All of these skills are still so important for our economy, for the growth in the economy, that provide jobs. Yet for some reason they're being cut, and it's becoming more and more conservative in both senses. We need to vote for a government that are looking to put into the education system, not take out. Young people are our future. We shouldn't deprive them of having a rich education and the chance of having the most successful future. The housing crisis. This is a huge, huge issue in our country at the moment. There is a lack of affordable homes. There is a lack of council homes. Social housing has been on a decrease since the Tories came into power. Homelessness has increased by, I think it's 133% since 2010. 133%, did you hear that? I feel disgusted to come from a country that have got those rates of homelessness. We've got enough houses here for everybody. There is just literally no excuse at all. For our generation, for the millennial generation, it is going to be next to impossible to get onto the housing ladder. We probably, if we stay in the crisis that we're currently in, which we will if we continue with a Tory government, we're probably never going to be homeowners. We can't afford to save money to buy a house when the cost of private renting is at the rate it is. Private renting is increasing yearly, whereas, along with the cost of living generally, whereas pay has not risen. Pay has been frozen. It's not relative. It doesn't even make sense. When our parents were younger, they're going to be offended by that, aren't they? When our parents were, say, for example, 21, 22, they were able to buy houses. We can barely afford to pay our rent. You know, we've got the potential Prime Minister, Jeremy Corbyn, who's saying he's going to come in and he's going to build more social housing, more council housing, more affordable housing. Why would you not want that? Why would you not vote for that? So workers' rights is my next point. This is one that again is really close to my heart. So improved workers' rights includes a raised minimum wage. Who would say no to that? I mean, even £10 an hour, which is the proposed raised minimum wage, is, I don't even think that's the living wage. Well, not, or is it? It might be, but it's still just about covers your cost of living. It's not like a massive increase at the moment. We can't afford to live on what we're getting paid. So that's something that everybody should see as a bonus and want to have and should be wanting to vote for. Getting rid of 0-hour contracts. 0-hour contracts are disgusting. What they're doing is they've said that unemployment levels are at an all-time low at the moment, or a low in however many years. I can't remember the statistic. But this is quite a deceitful statistic because so many people are in 0-hour contract jobs. So what that means is they don't have a set amount of hours of work each week. So one week they might get, for example, 20 hours, and the next week they might get 1. It's not a stable income. You can't afford to pay your bills off of that. You can't. It's not secure. You can't have a family. You don't know how much you're going to have one week and how much you're going to have another. So what it means is it's increasing poverty because people can't. They just can't afford to live off of that. It's wrong. It's not right. What else are they doing for workers? Double paid or double time paternity leave for men, because men do deserve to spend time with their children too when they're born. I've always found that one really bizarre, why men get treated so differently to women in that regard. Better maternity rights for women. You know, the job market at the moment, it isn't great, and we don't know what's going to happen after Brexit. No one has any clue at the moment. So wouldn't you rather have a workforce that's got these things in place to make it safe and more secure? So with whatever happens, at least we know we're in a stable job. Although I expect we're going to see a lot of redundancies as Brexit hits us. This is going to make us stronger, more stable, and we're not going to be hit as hard. What they also want to do is get rid of unpaid internships. Now, many see internships as a positive thing, which on one hand they are, they're giving you the opportunity to get experience within your industry, to network, etc. However, these aren't accessible for all. So those who, for example, live in a family who can afford to give them money and to help them financially, they're going to have access to these opportunities, whereas people from lower income families aren't going to have those opportunities. People who are able to still live at home with their parents or family members are going to have access to these opportunities, whereas those who can't and live on their own or with their partner or whatever and have rent to pay and bills to pay, they're not going to have equal opportunities. So again, it's this whole social mobility. It's creating a much bigger division between the rich and the poor. The disparity between the opportunities for people from middle and higher classes to those from lower classes, it really breaks my heart, because, you know, these are the opportunities that people need. They need to know that there are these things available to them in order to have hope, in order to have faith, in order to have dreams. But at the moment, all of these things are shattering people's dreams because all these opportunities are just so out of reach. Equality. This is another one of my favourites. So Labour brought in the Equality Act, the Equal Pay Act, Gender Discrimination Act, equality. This is another one of my favourites. So Labour brought in the Equality Act, the Equal Pay Act, the Sex Discrimination Act, minimum wage. I'm sure there's more, but I think I've forgotten. We live in one of the most diverse countries in the world, and I think that is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Whether that's through ethnicity, religion, working with people from all different disabilities, walks of life. I think it makes us much richer people to be around such a diverse range of people. It develops understanding, compassion, empathy, things that I think the current government are lacking in, clearly by their cuts to for example, the Disability Act, women's rights. You know, the progression in the workplace for women has gone down under the Tory government. Labour are a party for all. They advocate equality. You know, people think, oh, we're leaving the EU, it means that there's going to be no immigration. What do you think they're going to do? Send them all off on a plane? Really, guys? Really? It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. We're always going to be a diverse country, and we need to embrace the diversity. It's beautiful. And what we need to do is advocate a society that accepts and caters to everybody. It's equal to all. The current government isn't that. We need to remove the stigma that young people don't care, young people don't vote. I get it. I get why we haven't voted. I understand. People felt like the system didn't work for them. They had no faith in it. I understand. But we now have someone that is for the people, that is for us, that cares about us. Vote for him. Vote for this man. Polls aren't always right. Don't feel defeated. There's no point in voting because the polls are saying X, Y, Z. When were the polls ever right? The 2015 election? I believed in them and it destroyed me. Hopefully it's going to go the other way this year. Brexit, Trump, the French election, you know, they can't be trusted. It's not something to go on. Just vote. Just register to vote first. Register. Your time is running out. It's easy. There is no excuse. It takes about 3 minutes to register, and to actually vote, it takes no more than 20 minutes, really. Most polling stations are no more than a 10-minute walk from your house. It takes a few seconds to put the X in the box. Done, dusted. You can do it on your way home from work, on your way to college, uni, whatever. It's really, really simple. There's just no excuse. We have no right to complain about things, whether it's, I don't know, whether it's the refugee crisis, whether it's equality, whether it's grammar schools, whether it's about visa restrictions, whether it's about immigration, all of these things. We have no right to complain if we do not vote now. Okay? Mental health services, internet security, the NHS, education, housing, all of these things, they make up our lives, and it's going to have such a huge impact on the rest of our lives. So use it. Use your vote. Do it, please. I don't want to hear any moaning. If you don't, honestly, because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of people complaining about issues, but they're not willing to do anything about it. So our generation, the millennial generation, are often described as woke. I'm really proud of the generation that I come from. We're very aware of the socio-political climate. We're really aware of all of the issues that are going on both in our country and globally. Our response to these, it really does fill me with pride and joy. But this is our chance to really prove that, to really prove that we're not just what other people describe our generation as kind of dumb, narcissistic, ignorant, technology obsessed people, bimbos, I don't know. This is our chance to prove ourselves and to really shape our own future. Look how we respond to things going on in the world. I mean, there was the Black Lives Matter movement, which people went out and protested for, created content online, raised general awareness, the refugee crisis, which our country responded shamefully to. People here I have a friend who started a charity. People raised money. People went over to Calais, to Greece. We've shown that we have understanding, that we have compassion, that we're very active. Now is our time to use the knowledge and awareness that we have and to apply it to our future and to the future of our country. So I think it's quite clear to you all who I'm going to be voting for. Jeremy Corbyn, Labour. I've always been a Labour girl. You know, I take after my family in that sense. I can't lie, I was disheartened with his stance on Brexit, and it did make me reconsider. I did start to think, you know, should I be voting Labour? But I genuinely believe he will bring about the best Brexit negotiations. I believe he is going to do the best by us all in this country, not just the wealthy and the privileged. I really believe he is a man of his word and a man of the people. The issues that are coming about at the moment in this election that have been raised, whether it's mental health, whether it's tax evasion, whether it's immigration, all of these things are things that affect us all and are going to affect us continually for the rest of our lives. And this next election is such an important one, and what we decide now is going to determine so much of the future. So please do really consider who you vote for. Don't just vote for someone because your parents do. Do your research, look into it, and really think about the policies, and not just how they're going to impact upon you, but impact upon the country as a whole. You know, your brothers, your sisters, your family members, your aunties, your future children. Really think about the impacts that it's going to have, the widespread impacts that it's going to have on our country, and also globally. You know, the impacts that it has on those around the world. What party we vote for determines a lot. Our approach to war, nuclear weapons, the refugee crisis. These are huge issues that we have control over by who we vote for. This is lives we're talking about. For some, it really is a matter of life and death, and we've already got so much blood on our hands as a consequence of the wars that this country has participated in. It's embarrassing, and this man, Jeremy Corbyn, he is different. I do believe that he's different, and he's going to take a different approach. So even if at the moment you're not sure if he's the person that you want to vote for, or you don't know who you want to vote for, that's fine. But just register and do your research, and then decide later. My key point in this video is just register to vote.